"Wait, I'll take it off," she said. The rancher stood frozen as everything changed. The red dust of Mars swirled across the vast plains, painting the horizon in shades of orange and gold. The wind carried with it the scent of iron and stone, the smell of a world both harsh and beautiful. Cole Avery wiped his brow with the back of his sleeve and surveyed his ranch. He had built it from nothing, a small patch of land surrounded by rocky hills, with a few hardy crops and livestock that had adapted to the unforgiving environment. It wasn't much by Earth standards, but it was his home, his pride, and the proof that humans could survive anywhere. Cole squinted against the sunlight bouncing off the metallic panels of his solar arrays. Life on Mars wasn't easy, but he liked it that way. Out here, he was free. Free from cities, governments, and anyone telling him how to live. He liked his quiet, his routines, and the rhythm of a day measured by the rising and setting of the sun rather than clocks. A sudden shimmer on the horizon made him freeze. At first he thought it was a trick of the dust. But no, there, moving with impossible precision across the plain, was a small craft. It was unlike any human design he had ever seen. Sleek, smooth, reflective, almost alive. It hovered silently, its surface glinting in the sun like liquid metal. Cole's heart pounded. Visitors were rare out here. Human travelers were usually supply freighters or the occasional curious researcher. But this was something different, something he couldn't identify. The craft landed gently, kicking up a cloud of dust that painted the red soil in a hazy veil. The dust settled, revealing a figure stepping out. She, or it, was human in shape, tall and slender, wearing a suit that shimmered like the craft itself. Cole's first instinct was to reach for the old rifle he kept by the door, though he rarely used it. "Hello," the figure said. Her voice was calm, even melodic, cutting through the quiet like a soft bell. "I hope I'm not disturbing you." Cole's hand froze on the rifle. "You're a long way from anywhere," he said cautiously. His voice sounded rough even to him. "Who are you and what do you want?" "My name is Alara," she said. She took a step forward and the suit seemed to pulse with a soft light. "I am here to study the human spirit." Cole blinked. The wind caught his hair and dusted his shoulders and he looked at her again. "The human spirit," he repeated. "You've got the wrong guy. I'm just a rancher. This isn't a city or a lab." Alara tilted her head slightly as if considering him. "Exactly. That is why I am here. Humans who carve a life from the edge of a world, your resourcefulness, your perseverance. It is rare. It is remarkable." Cole felt a flicker of annoyance. "So, you flew all the way out here to tell me I'm remarkable. I'm not looking for company, lady." "I am not here for company," Alara said, her voice steady. "I am here to learn, and perhaps to offer you something you cannot achieve alone." Cole frowned. "I don't need help, I don't need anyone." But even as he said it, a part of him wondered, what could she possibly offer? Out here, help usually meant trouble. She stepped closer and Cole noticed the subtle hum of her suit. It wasn't machinery as he knew it. It seemed alive, responding to the ground beneath her feet. The dust clung to it, but it slid away like water on glass. Her presence was almost impossible. "I have knowledge," she said. "Knowledge of the land, of survival beyond your imagination. I can help your ranch flourish in ways you cannot yet see, but you must let me study how you live. I must observe you, understand your choices, your instincts." Cole's jaw tightened. He was a practical man. He didn't trust fancy words, promises, or strangers claiming to have answers. Yet part of him couldn't ignore the possibilities. The ranch had its limits, resources were scarce, water was precious, and each season tested him more than the last. "I don't need a suit like yours to survive," he muttered. "I've made it this far with sweat and grit. I don't need magic tricks." Alara's lips curved in a faint smile. "It is not magic. It is science, technology, and understanding. But more than that, it is respect. I do not impose, I only request permission." Cole stared at her, weighing his options. Every instinct screamed to shut the door, to send her away. but a small, persistent curiosity tugged at him. Humans rarely impressed him, but she was different. She moved like the desert wind, effortless, precise, yet somehow alive. Permission for what? He asked finally. To observe, to learn, and perhaps to share with you what I have learned. Cole crossed his arms, the sun casting long shadows across the dusty ground. And if I say no, then I leave, Alara said simply, stepping back. No harm, no disruption, I respect boundaries. There was a silence between them, broken only by the faint hiss of the wind and the soft hum of her suit. Cole's mind raced. He had spent years relying on himself, trusting no one. Yet something about her made him hesitate. He saw in her presence the possibility of growth, of change. And despite every warning bell in his head, he said the words he never expected. Fine, but you do it my way. No tricks, no surprises. Alara inclined her head. Agreed. Over the next few days, she observed him. Cole found it unnerving at first. She watched him feed the animals, repair fences, and tend the soil. But she didn't interfere. She didn't offer advice, didn't correct him. She simply watched, taking notes, her suit glowing faintly in the Martian sun. At night, she asked questions. Why do you choose this life? She would ask, voice soft against the howling wind outside his small cabin. Why not join the cities, the colonies, the corporate farms? Cole would answer honestly, sometimes angrily. Because this is mine. Because I can survive on my own. Because I don't want people telling me what to do with my life. Alara would nod, seemingly understanding, yet always pushing a little further. And yet, you worry about the limits of your land, your resources, your animals. You think about the future, Cole grunted. A man has to think. That doesn't mean I want someone poking their nose in. She smiled faintly, a gesture that somehow made her seem more human, yet still alien. I do not intend to poke, I intend to understand. Then came the moment that changed everything. It was mid-afternoon, the sun blazing above, the horizon a blur of dust and heat. Cole was repairing the water pump, cursing under his breath as the mechanism refused to cooperate. Alara stepped closer, her suit humming faintly, and extended a hand. Perhaps I can assist, she said. Cole froze. He knew he should refuse, but something about the calm confidence in her voice made him pause. He stepped back uncertain, his pride warring with practicality. You're not going to fix it with a wave of your hand, are you? He asked, suspicion heavy in his voice. No, she said, but I can show you something. She knelt, and with a precision that made Cole's jaw drop, she adjusted the pump. Tiny panels slid open on her suit, releasing tools smaller than his fingers but stronger than any he had used. Within moments, the pump whirred to life. Water gushed steadily, a sound that seemed miraculous in the barren landscape. Cole stood frozen, the words he wanted to say trapped in his throat. He had seen machines fail, pumps break, and survival hang by a thread. And here in front of him was something beyond his comprehension. Alara stood, brushing off dust. There, she said simply, working. Perhaps now you can see that cooperation can sometimes achieve more than effort alone. Cole's heart raced. He wanted to shout, to demand explanations, to run. But the truth settled over him like the Martian dust. The world had just expanded in a way he could not have imagined. Then softly she said, "Wait, I'll take it off." Cole froze completely. Something in her tone made the air itself feel heavier, charged. Everything in him screamed caution, yet curiosity, dangerous, irresistible curiosity, took hold. And in that moment, standing in the blazing Martian afternoon, Cole Avery realized that his life, his world, everything he had built, was about to change forever. The Martian wind was gentler that evening, though it still carried the scent of iron-rich dust across Cole Avery's ranch. The pump hummed steadily, water flowing in a smooth, steady stream. Cole leaned against the fence, arms crossed, watching Alara. She had stepped back from the pump and now stood tall, her reflective suit faintly glowing as it caught the dimming sun. Cole's mind was a whirlwind. He had faced storms, equipment failures, and isolation, but nothing like this. He had spent years carving a life out of the harsh red soil, relying only on himself. And now here was someone, or something, offering knowledge beyond his comprehension. "Wait," he said finally, his voice tight with a mix of caution and disbelief. "You said you'll take it off." Alara's head tilted slightly, her movements calm, deliberate. "Yes, I will show you who I truly am. I only ask for your trust, Cole Avery. A trust that may prove difficult but necessary for what I offer." Cole snorted. "Trust? Lady, I've survived storms, equipment breakdowns, and Martian sandstorms that could strip paint off a ship in minutes. You expect me to trust some stranger who floats in like she owns the place?" "I do not expect blind trust," she replied softly. "I only ask for a chance to demonstrate. I promise, no harm, no interference in what you have built." Cole's jaw tightened. He wanted to refuse, to slam the door and return to the familiar rhythm of his life. But part of him, a small, stubborn, curious part, wondered, what could she possibly offer that he didn't already know how to do? He had made the ranch work with grit, sweat, and endless problem-solving, and yet the pump had fixed itself in seconds with her help. That shouldn't have been possible. "Fine," he said finally, though his tone was gruff. "Do it. But don't expect me to. I don't know, fall in awe of whatever you are." Alara inclined her head. "Agreed." She stepped slowly away from the pump, her suit shimmering faintly. Cole's eyes followed every movement, every pulse of light along the edges of her form. He couldn't tell where the suit ended and she began. Then, with a slow, deliberate motion, she began removing the outer layer. The panels of her suit separated silently, sliding apart like liquid metal. The hum of her suit softened, almost as if it were breathing. Cole's breath caught in his throat. Underneath, she was not human, at least not in the way he understood. Her skin, or what resembled skin, was smooth, metallic in places, yet warm with a subtle glow. The structure of her body was elegant, humanoid, yet clearly engineered. It was the most beautiful, strange, and alien thing Cole had ever seen. He froze, unable to speak. His instincts screamed danger, yet there was no threat in her movements. Only calm, deliberate motion, a respect for the world around her, and for him. "I understand this is unusual," she said softly, sensing his hesitation. "You may feel fear, you may feel disbelief, but you are safe. I am here to share knowledge, not to harm." Cole swallowed hard. You're not human." His voice was barely audible. "I am humanoid," she said carefully. "I am designed to learn, to understand, and to assist. But I am not like the humans who live in colonies or cities. I am different. And yet I respect humans above all. Your species has a resilience and ingenuity no machine or engineered being can replicate fully." Cole's mind spun. He had seen technology in the colonies, machines designed to think and work without human input. But this was something beyond that, something almost alive. "Why come here? Why me?" he asked, voice rough. "There are cities, research stations, people with more connections, more experience than a simple rancher." "Because you are alone," Alara replied. "And yet you thrive. You have survived where others fail. You have adapted to harsh conditions, solved problems without guidance, and preserved life in a place where it should not exist. That is rare. That is valuable." Cole shook his head, partly in disbelief, partly in awe. "You think surviving dust and wind is special." "It is not the survival itself," she said. "It is how you survive. Your creativity, your decisions, your stubbornness. These are things I wish to study, and perhaps to offer assistance that will expand what you can achieve." Cole narrowed his eyes. "Assistance? What kind of assistance are we talking about?" Alara smiled faintly. "I can help your ranch flourish. I can improve the soil, increase water efficiency, protect livestock from disease, and even extend your growing seasons. But I cannot do this alone. I need to understand how you work, how humans think, how you decide what to do when the odds are against you." Cole felt a strange mix of pride and suspicion. He had spent decades proving humans could survive anywhere, even in barren landscapes. Was this recognition or manipulation? "You're saying I can make the ranch better, faster, stronger?" he asked cautiously. "Yes," she said simply, "but only if you let me observe and assist, only if you allow cooperation rather than isolation." Cole leaned against the fence post, running a hand through his dusty hair. His pride rebelled against the idea of needing help. He had made it this far alone. He had faced every challenge the Martian frontier threw at him. But a small, nagging thought crept into his mind. What if he could do more? What if, with her help, he could not just survive, but thrive? "You know," he said finally, voice low, "I've built this place from nothing. Everything I have I earned with my own hands. You're talking about changing that, changing the way I live. Why should I trust you?" "Because I respect what you have built," Alara replied softly. "I do not intend to replace your effort. I only intend to enhance it. I will not interfere with your decisions, your routines, or your life. Only with your consent will I act, and I will teach you to do things you cannot yet imagine." Cole studied her for a long moment. He could see no lies, no deception in her glowing eyes. Only calm certainty, respect, and promise. Finally, he spoke. "All right, I'll do it, but on my terms. You observe, you help when I ask, and you don't interfere with my life unless I say so. Deal?" "Deal," she said, inclining her head. From that moment, their days settled into a rhythm. Alara observed Cole as he worked, taking notes silently, asking occasional questions about his choices. She watched how he rotated crops, managed water, and cared for the livestock. And sometimes, when he allowed, she offered subtle guidance, adjusting irrigation angles, suggesting modifications to equipment, or pointing out environmental patterns that Cole had missed. He resisted at first. His pride bristled at any suggestion that his methods could be improved. But slowly, he began to see the benefits. His crops yielded more, his livestock grew healthier, and the water systems ran smoother. He realized, grudgingly, that there was nothing dishonorable in accepting help. What mattered was that the effort remained his own. Evenings became the time for conversation. They would sit outside the small cabin, watching the twin moons of Mars rise over the rocky horizon. Alara would ask about his life, his choices, and his dreams. Cole found himself talking, something he had rarely done with anyone. He spoke of his family on Earth, the friends he had lost along the way, and the stubborn desire to prove humans could thrive anywhere. "You have a remarkable mind," Alara said one night, her suit glowing softly in the moonlight. "You see patterns others cannot. You adapt to challenges faster than many could. Your species has a resilience I wish more beings understood." Cole laughed softly, a sound that carried across the quiet plain. "Resilience? Maybe, or maybe I'm just too stubborn to die," she smiled faintly. "Perhaps both." Days passed into weeks. Cole began to see her not as an alien, not as a stranger, but as a partner in survival. She did not replace him. She amplified what he already could do, and in a strange, unexpected way, he began to appreciate her presence. Then came the moment that would shift everything again. It was mid-morning, and Cole was repairing a solar array that had suffered minor damage from a dust storm. Alara had been observing silently, her suit humming faintly. "I can do it faster," she said softly. Cole straightened. "I don't need faster, I need it done my way." "I understand," she said, "but I can show you something that will make your work easier in the future, only if you allow it." Cole hesitated. His pride whispered to refuse, to insist on doing everything himself. But curiosity, the same curiosity that had kept him alive through storms and dust, urged him forward. "Fine," he said. "Show me." Alara's eyes glowed faintly as she extended her hands toward the array. Panels separated, tools emerged, and within moments the array was not just repaired but optimized. Cole stared in disbelief. This is unreal," he muttered. "It is possible," she said simply. with knowledge, observation, and collaboration. Cole's heart raced. He realized that her presence had already changed his world. And he understood, deep down, that life on this ranch, the life he had built with his own hands, would never be the same again. The Martian night was quiet, save for the faint hum of Cole Avery's ranch equipment and the occasional whisper of wind across the red plains. The twin moons hung low, casting pale light over the rocky landscape, painting shadows that stretched like fingers across the ground. Cole sat outside his cabin, staring at the horizon, still processing everything that had happened over the past weeks. Elara stood nearby, motionless, her suit reflecting the moonlight. Cole had grown used to her presence. Not entirely comfortable, but the feeling of unease had dulled. She had become a strange companion, a partner in his work, yet always different, always otherworldly. Cole rubbed his eyes and muttered under his breath, "I've survived dust storms, broken pumps, and starvation, and now I'm scared of a metal woman." Alara's soft laugh carried through the still air. "I am not here to scare you, Cole Avery, but I sense hesitation, doubt. It is natural, change is often frightening." Cole glared at her, but the tension in his body eased slightly. "Change, huh? You've already changed my whole way of working, whether I like it or not." "Yes," she said simply, "and now there is something more I wish to show you. Something that will explain why I have come." Cole's curiosity prickled. He had learned to trust small parts of her guidance, though he still resisted relying on her too much. "All right," he said cautiously, "show me, but keep it simple. I don't need fancy tricks." Elara stepped closer, the soft hum of her suit filling the night. "It will not be a trick. What I am about to reveal is the truth of my nature, the full truth." Cole's heart beat faster. He had seen her suit removed partially before, enough to know she wasn't entirely human. But now there was a weight in her tone, a gravity that made him stop in his tracks. She extended her hand slowly. "I am not human. I am humanoid, designed to observe, learn, and assist, but I have evolved beyond simple machinery. My mind, my consciousness, is capable of adaptation, growth, and comprehension in ways that most species cannot achieve." Cole's breath caught. He had suspected something unusual, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. "So you're like a super machine?" he asked, unsure how to put it. "No," Elara replied, her voice calm. "I am not merely a machine. I am engineered, yes, but I am also sentient. I think, I learn, I adapt. Yet I admire humans above all. Your creativity, your resourcefulness, your determination, these are qualities I cannot replicate fully." Cole took a step back, heart racing. "So you're saying humans are better than you in some ways?" Elara nodded. "Yes, in ways that matter. Machines can calculate, analyze, and optimize. But humans can persevere when all logic says they should fail. Humans can innovate under pressure, adapt when survival is on the line, and endure hardship in ways I can only observe and attempt to understand." Cole stared at her, stunned. No one had ever said such words to him, not from a human and certainly not from an alien presence that could perform miracles with her hands. Pride swelled in him, mingled with disbelief. "You admire us?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Yes," she said simply. "More than any other species I have encountered. That is why I am here, to learn from humans, to understand their choices, their resilience, and their capacity for growth, and perhaps to share knowledge that allows humans to thrive even further." Cole's mind raced. He had spent his life proving humans could survive the most impossible conditions, carving a life on barren Martian soil where few would dare to venture. And now, this being, this alien intelligence, was telling him that humans, his kind, were remarkable. He felt an odd mix of pride, disbelief, and something else he couldn't quite name. What do you mean by share knowledge?" he asked cautiously. Elara's glowing eyes seemed to soften. "I can assist you in ways that will enhance your survival, your efficiency, your understanding of this world. I can improve your water systems, your soil, your crops, your livestock. I can accelerate growth without replacing human effort. But I need you to understand my purpose is not to take control. It is to augment, not replace, to respect what you have built, not erase it. Cole rubbed his face, trying to process. He had faced challenges alone all his life. He had relied only on himself. And yet here was a being offering him more than survival, offering him mastery over his environment without diminishing his effort. I don't know, he muttered. I've survived out here because I did it myself. I don't want shortcuts. I don't want someone else doing my work. You misunderstand, Alara said softly. This is not about shortcuts. This is about potential. I can show you methods that allow you to achieve more with your own skills without taking away the essence of what you have accomplished. It is collaboration, not replacement. Cole looked at her carefully, studying the curves and edges of her form, the subtle glow of her skin, the light in her eyes. She was alien, yes, but there was something undeniably sincere in her presence. He felt the tension in his shoulders ease slightly. "All right," he said finally, voice low but firm. "Show me, but you have to promise, no interference unless I ask, no taking over, got it?" "I promise," she said, her tone unwavering. Over the next few days, Cole watched her work in ways he could not fully understand. She analyzed soil, adjusted irrigation systems, and even suggested crop rotations that increased yields while conserving water. And yet, she never imposed, never took control. She only guided, showed, and explained. Cole's pride bristled at first. He didn't like being told what to do, but slowly he began to see the wisdom in her guidance. The crops flourished, the livestock grew stronger, and his ranch ran smoother than ever before. He realized that accepting help did not diminish his effort, it amplified it. One evening, as the twin moons rose, Cole and Alara sat on the ridge overlooking the ranch. The wind was calm, the air filled with the faint scent of Martian soil. Cole spoke softly, more to himself than to her. "You know, I never thought I'd trust someone like you," he admitted. Alara turned her head slightly, the faint glow of her form reflecting the moonlight. "Trust is earned," she said, "and yet humans are capable of more than trust. You are capable of judgment, resilience, and courage. That is why I chose to stay." Cole stared at her, the weight of her words sinking in. "You chose me." "Yes," she said simply, "not because you are the strongest or the smartest or the most skilled, but because you are human, and that is enough." Cole felt a lump in his throat. He had spent years proving humanity could survive on the edge of the universe, carving a life where few would dare. And now he realized his struggle, his persistence, his stubbornness, it was recognized. By someone far beyond human understanding, yet who valued humans above all. Days later, a new challenge arrived. A Martian storm, fierce and sudden, approached the ranch. Cole had weathered many storms, but this one was unlike any before. Dust swirled in violent gusts, sand scouring the land, and the sky darkened to a fiery red. Cole ran outside, securing panels, tying down livestock, and shielding equipment. Alara was at his side, guiding him but never taking control. She moved with him, adjusting tools, stabilizing equipment, and offering insights that allowed him to act faster and smarter. Hours passed in a blur of wind, dust, and effort. Cole felt his strength waning, yet he pushed on. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, the storm passed, leaving the land eerily calm, dust settling over the ranch like a soft blanket. Cole collapsed against a fence post, exhausted, covered in red dust. Alara knelt beside him, her suit glowing faintly. "You survived," she said softly. Cole laughed, though it was tired. "Of course I did. I've survived worse." "No," she said, her voice gentle. "You endured, you adapted, you persisted when logic said you should fail." "That is remarkable." Cole looked at her, a sense of awe mixed with disbelief. "You really mean that?" "Yes," she said simply. "And it is why I am here, to learn from humans like you and to help humans like you thrive." Cole realized in that moment that his life would never be the same. The ranch, the soil, the livestock, they were no longer just his struggle. They were proof of human resilience, amplified by knowledge beyond his understanding. And he understood, finally, what Alara had meant when she said she admired humans. It was not strength, speed, or intelligence alone. It was the ability to endure, to create, and to thrive against impossible odds. For the first time in his life, Cole Avery felt truly seen. And the world, vast and unforgiving as it was, felt just a little smaller, a little more within reach. Because he was human. And humans, he realized, could achieve anything. The Martian morning sun broke over the horizon, painting the red plains with a soft orange glow. Cole Avery stood on the ridge, overlooking his ranch, now transformed in subtle ways. Pipes glinted under the early sunlight, irrigation channels ran smoothly across the fields, and the livestock moved with a healthier, livelier energy. Alara stood beside him, her form shimmering faintly in the dawn light. She had been a silent presence all night, analyzing soil, checking machinery, and ensuring everything was in order. Cole, as always, worked alongside her. But unlike before, he no longer felt wary or threatened. He felt partnered. "Looks better than I imagined," Cole said, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "I was worried the dust storms would ruin half of it this season." Alara nodded. "The improvements will hold. And you will find them easier to maintain. Your effort will now yield more with less risk," Cole grunted. "I guess that's good, but I want to do the work myself. You're not allowed to take over." "I understand," she said softly, "and I will not. I am here to enhance your work, not replace it." The ranch had changed in more ways than one. Cole noticed the subtle patterns in the crops, the way the irrigation distributed water evenly across the fields, and how the livestock moved with fewer signs of stress. Each improvement was small individually, but together they formed a system that was stronger, smarter, and more efficient than anything he had managed before. Cole wiped sweat from his brow and looked at Alara. "I have to admit, some of these ideas are clever. You've made me realize I could have done things differently, but I didn't know how." She inclined her head. "Humans can solve problems with creativity and intuition. I only show methods you may not have considered. The effort, the decision, the will to act, that remains yours." Cole felt a flicker of pride. He had spent years surviving Mars with ingenuity and stubbornness, and now he was learning new ways to thrive, without losing his independence. The days passed, each one bringing small victories. Alara helped optimize water use, suggested improvements to the solar arrays, and taught Cole methods for monitoring soil nutrients more efficiently. Cole still worked with his hands, sweating, thinking, deciding, but he saw results faster than he ever had before. Then came the challenge he had feared for years, a sandstorm, larger and more violent than any he had seen in recent memory. Red clouds swept across the plains, winds howling with incredible force. The sky turned an angry shade of crimson, and visibility dropped to almost zero. Cole grabbed his tools and raced to secure the ranch. Alara followed without hesitation, her presence calm amid chaos. She guided him, pointing out weak points in the structures and suggesting methods to protect the animals. "Cole, reinforce the water tanks on the east side. The wind will push them over," she shouted over the roar of the storm. He obeyed, tying the tanks down as she directed. It was exhausting work, every muscle screaming, but he found himself moving faster, thinking quicker, acting smarter than ever before. Alara's presence didn't do the work for him. It sharpened his instincts, amplified his decisions. Hours passed. Cole's arms ached, his lungs burned, but finally the storm began to subside. Dust settled over the ranch, coating everything in a thin, red layer. Cole looked around, exhausted but alive. The livestock were safe, the structures intact, and the crops, though battered, stood resilient. Alara knelt beside him, her glowing form casting a soft light in the settling dust. You endured, she said, not just survived. You adapted, made decisions that saved everything. Cole laughed softly, a sound raw and full of relief. I guess stubbornness pays off sometimes. You have more than stubbornness, she said. You have human ingenuity. It is remarkable, and now others may notice it too. Cole frowned. Others? Alara's glowing eyes softened. I have observed other species. Some may see your ranch as unusual. They may question why a human thrives with what I bring. That is why your work, your ingenuity, is important. You set an example for what humans can achieve. Cole's mind raced. He had always known humans were capable of survival and innovation, but hearing it from someone like her, an intelligence beyond human comprehension, made it real. His pride swelled, tempered by humility. Over the next weeks, Cole and Alara worked side by side, expanding the ranch in ways Cole had never imagined possible. Irrigation channels extended farther, crops grew faster and healthier, and the livestock multiplied, thriving under careful monitoring. Cole implemented new routines, blending his old methods with her guidance, creating a system that was stronger, smarter, and uniquely his. The transformation was not just in the ranch. Cole felt a change in himself. He was still the rugged, self-reliant man who had carved a life from dust and stone. But now he understood that cooperation, when chosen carefully, could amplify human effort. Humans were strong alone, but together, guided by knowledge, they could achieve things previously unimaginable. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the Martian plains, Cole and Alara sat outside, overlooking the ranch. The wind was calm, carrying the faint scent of soil and livestock. Cole took a deep breath, the familiar mix of red dust and life filling his lungs. You know, he said slowly, I never thought I'd feel proud of this place the way I do now. It's not just survival anymore. It's thriving. Alara's faint glow softened. It is the result of your effort, your decisions, your perseverance. I only offered guidance. The spirit, the will, the ingenuity, those are yours. Cole smiled. I guess humans really can do anything if they put their minds to it. Yes, she said softly, and that is why I am here, to witness it, to learn from it, and to help it grow. The weeks turned into months. Cole's ranch became a beacon of human ingenuity in the Martian frontier. Other settlers and travelers noticed the thriving crops, the healthy livestock, and the efficient systems. Some came to learn, some to trade, but all marveled at what a human could achieve with determination, skill, and the guidance of someone or something extraordinary. Cole became more than a rancher. He became a symbol, a proof that humans could not only survive on Mars but thrive, innovate, and lead in a world that seemed designed to challenge them at every turn. And through it all, Alara remained by his side, observing, guiding, never taking control, always respecting his autonomy. Together, they formed a partnership unlike any other, human determination amplified by alien intelligence, a combination that allowed the impossible to become reality. One day, a small delegation from a nearby colony arrived, curious about the thriving ranch. Cole welcomed them cautiously, showing them the systems, explaining his methods, and sharing insights without revealing too much of Alara's alien abilities. The visitors left in awe, inspired by what humans could achieve with ingenuity, perseverance, and careful guidance. Cole watched them leave, feeling a sense of pride and satisfaction he had never known before. This was more than survival. This was transformation. Later, as the sun set behind the Martian hills, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Cole and Alara stood together on the ridge. The ranch below was a testament to human resilience, human creativity, and the possibility of thriving in even the harshest environments. You've changed my world, Cole said quietly, and you've shown me something equally remarkable, Alara replied. Humans are capable of so much if only they dare to try. Cole smiled, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. He had faced the harshest storms, the toughest challenges, and the solitude of a barren world. And now, he had not only survived, he had built something extraordinary, something that would inspire others for generations to come. The wind carried the scent of soil and life across the plains. The twin moons rose high, casting their pale light over the transformed ranch. Cole felt a deep sense of connection, not just to the land but to the possibilities of humanity. He understood, finally, that humans were not limited by the world around them. They were limited only by their vision, their determination, and their courage to act. And with Alara's guidance, he knew they could achieve even more. Because humans, he realized, were capable of anything. The Martian sun rose slowly over the horizon, spilling gold and orange across the plains. Cole Avery stood at the edge of his ranch, arms crossed, taking in the scene before him. The field stretched wide, lush with healthy crops. Livestock grazed calmly, moving with ease across land that once struggled to sustain life. The irrigation systems glimmered in the sunlight, a network of water and ingenuity that made even the harsh Martian soil productive. Ilara stood beside him, her faint glow blending with the morning light. Cole had long since grown accustomed to her presence, not just as an observer, but as a partner, a guide who respected his autonomy while offering insight beyond human capability. Together they had built more than a ranch. They had built a testament to human perseverance and ingenuity. "You know," Cole said, breaking the silence, "I never thought I'd see this place like this. It's alive. It's really alive." Alara inclined her head, her glowing form reflecting the sunlight. "And it is because of you. Every decision, every effort, every choice you made, this is yours. I only guided, never replaced." Cole smiled, feeling a weight lift from his shoulders. For years he had survived alone, relying on stubbornness, grit, and sheer determination. Now he realized that survival was not enough. Thriving, that was what mattered. And he had done it. He had thrived and in the process proven what humans were capable of. "Do you ever get tired of all this observing?" Cole asked, a hint of humor in his voice. Alara's faint glow shimmered. "Observation is not tiring when it teaches me something I value. Humans, you teach me more than any other being I have encountered. I learn from your choices, your ingenuity, your perseverance, and I learn that humans are capable of more than even I had imagined." Cole nodded slowly. He had heard her words before, but now they felt different, weighty, meaningful. He realized that he was not just a rancher on a remote Martian plain. He was a symbol of human potential, a proof that even in the harshest environments, humans could rise, innovate, and thrive. As the days passed, word of Cole's thriving ranch spread. Travelers, settlers, and even officials from distant colonies came to see the miracle of human perseverance. They marveled at the efficient systems, the lush crops, and the healthy livestock. Many asked questions, eager to learn the techniques that had transformed barren Martian soil into a thriving oasis. Cole welcomed them cautiously. He showed them the irrigation channels, explained the crop rotations, and demonstrated the methods he had refined with Alara's guidance. But he never revealed the full extent of Alara's abilities. The secret of her alien intelligence remained between them, a quiet reminder that humans were capable of extraordinary things even without intervention. One day, a young girl from a nearby colony approached Cole. Her eyes were wide with curiosity and her voice trembled with excitement. "Sir," she said, "how did you make all this work? I've never seen crops grow like this on Mars before." Cole smiled gently. "It's not magic. It takes hard work, observation, and patience. You study the land, learn from it, and adapt. You never give up, even when things seem impossible." The girl nodded, absorbing his words with the seriousness of someone who understood their importance. Cole realized in that moment that his work was more than personal success. It was a legacy, a lesson for future generations that humans could thrive anywhere if they had the courage to try. Alara watched quietly, her presence calm and steady. She had guided him, yes, but the accomplishments were entirely human, and that was exactly how it should be. She had observed countless species, yet humans remained unique. Their creativity, determination, and ingenuity could not be replicated. Even with her knowledge and technology, she could only enhance what was already extraordinary in them. As the years passed, Cole's ranch became a center for human innovation on Mars. Settlers came to learn, to exchange ideas, and to witness what determination could achieve. Cole trained young farmers, teaching them techniques for surviving and thriving in the harsh Martian environment. He showed them how to read the soil, how to conserve water, how to make systems that worked with the land rather than against it. Alara remained a constant presence, offering guidance when needed, analyzing data, and helping maintain systems without ever taking control. Together, they formed a partnership that showcased the power of collaboration while highlighting the strength of human effort. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the red plains, Cole and Alara stood on the ridge overlooking the ranch. The land stretched far and wide, thriving under the combined efforts of human ingenuity and subtle alien guidance. "You've taught me more than I ever expected," Cole said softly. "Not just about farming or surviving, but about humans, about what we can do when we refuse to give up." Alara's glowing eyes reflected the moonlight. "And you've shown me that humans are remarkable in ways no technology or intelligence can replicate. Your spirit, your choices, your perseverance, they are invaluable lessons." Cole looked down at the fields, feeling a sense of pride and contentment he had never known. He realized that survival alone was not enough. Humans had the power to create, to innovate, and to inspire, and that power, when nurtured, could shape worlds. Months later, a group of new settlers arrived at the ranch, seeking guidance on how to establish their own farms on Mars. Cole welcomed them, sharing knowledge patiently, showing them techniques, and encouraging them to trust their own instincts. Alara observed silently, ensuring the systems were stable and providing subtle guidance only when necessary. She had taught him much, but now it was time for humans to teach each other, to spread knowledge, and to build a thriving future across the Martian frontier. Cole watched the settlers work, their determination evident in every action. He saw the same spark he had always possessed, the stubbornness to survive, the creativity to adapt, and the courage to face the unknown. He felt a deep sense of pride. Humans were not just surviving, they were thriving, growing stronger, and leaving a mark on the world. One afternoon, as he repaired a solar panel, Cole paused and looked at Alara. "Do you think humans will ever reach the stars?" he asked. Alara's eyes glowed softly. "If humans continue to trust their ingenuity, their resilience, and their determination, they will. There is no limit to what humans can achieve when they refuse to surrender to impossible odds." Cole smiled. He felt a sense of peace, knowing that his life, his struggles, and his perseverance had meaning beyond himself. His ranch, his work, and his teachings would influence generations to come. Humans, he realized, were capable of greatness in ways the universe could scarcely imagine. The seasons changed. Years passed. Cole grew older, but his spirit remained strong. He continued to work the land, train new settlers, and innovate new methods for survival. Alara remained by his side, a constant reminder of the possibilities that arose when humans combined their ingenuity with knowledge beyond their own. One evening, as the sun set over the Martian plains, painting the sky in brilliant shades of red and gold, Cole stood on the ridge, overlooking his legacy. The ranch below was alive with movement, settlers tending crops, livestock grazing, and young farmers learning to adapt to the harsh land. Alara joined him, her faint glow blending with the warm light. "You have built more than a ranch," she said softly. "You have built hope. Proof that humans can thrive anywhere, adapt, and achieve greatness." Cole looked at her, his eyes reflecting the fading sunlight. I've done what I could, but it's humans who will carry it forward. The spirit, the determination, it's in all of us. Alara nodded. And that is why I am here. To witness, to learn, and to ensure that the legacy of humans is preserved. You have shown me that humans are one of the few species whose spirit cannot be engineered, only inspired. Cole smiled. He felt a deep sense of satisfaction, knowing that his life, his work, and his choices had meaning beyond survival. He had proven that humans were capable of thriving even in the harshest worlds, and that their ingenuity, determination, and courage could shape the future. As the twin moons rose high in the Martian sky, Cole and Alara stood together, watching the fields glow in the soft light. The wind whispered across the plains, carrying the promise of growth, resilience, and possibility. Cole knew finally that humanity's story was only beginning. The ranch was not just a place, it was proof. Proof that humans could endure, adapt, and thrive against all odds. Proof that determination, ingenuity, and courage were the greatest tools a human could possess. And as he watched the young settlers learn, grow, and carry forward the lessons he had taught them, Cole Avery smiled. The frontier was no longer just a test of survival, it was a canvas for human potential. Alara's glowing form pulsed faintly beside him. The future is yours, she said softly. The legacy is yours, and humans will continue to achieve greatness because of it. Cole looked out over the ranch, feeling a deep sense of pride and hope. The land stretched endlessly before him, a living testament to human perseverance. He knew that no matter what challenges the universe threw at humanity, they would endure, innovate, and thrive. Because humans, he realized, were capable of anything. And on this red, windswept planet, Cole Avery had built a legacy that would inspire generations to come.